So this is just going to be a short video on the questions you have on the homework, all right? Because remember, the questions on the quiz are going to be straight from the homework, so cut and paste. So somebody asked for 10, this might be on the quiz. Number 10, the top equation, it's already in slope-intercept form, okay? I want to graph that in red. And the bottom equation, it's not in slope-intercept form. I want to graph that in blue. The top equation is ready to rock. So where does it cross the y-axis? Remember, it's y equals mx plus b, and this is your y-intercept value. So you have -2 crosses the y at -2. You put a dot right there. Now from that point, you're going to rise and run according to your slope. So you're going to go up 2 over 3. So 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, you end up right here at this point. And step 2 is to identify whether it's going to be a solid line or a dotted line. So is this top equation going to be solid or dotted? Solid. How do you know? Because there's a solid line underneath it. That's right. So let's make this a solid line. There it is. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. And the blue one, let me get it in slope-intercept form. Let's divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Y is less than 2/3 x plus 1. However, I probably shouldn't have done that. I need to also shade in my red line. In other words, I need to know where all of my answers are at with regards to the top inequality. So are my answers on this side of the red line or the other side? All the answers are going to be together, right? They're either going to be on one side or the other side of the line. So you need to test a value. Now the easiest value to test is the point 0, 0. Because if you plug in 0, it's really, you can do it in your head, right? If you think about the coordinate 0, 0, and you plug in 0 for x and 0 for y, it's going to say 0 for x, 0 for y. It's going to say 0 is greater than or equal to what? -2. So what do you guys think of that? Is 0 greater than or equal to -2? Heck yeah, 0 is greater than any negative number. So this point is an answer. That means it is a solution. That means that all the solutions are on this side, right? So all you're going to do is shade in all of this up here. Okay, now it's great to have a different colored pen. So let's go for the other equation, the blue one, the inequality, not equation. The blue one, that one crosses at 1. So it's already getting messy, I apologize. Crosses at 1, let's put a dot right there. Then from that point, I want to go up 2 over 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3, I end up right here. Is this going to be a solid or a dotted line? Dotted, because it doesn't have a solid line underneath it. So it goes up 2 over 3. I want to go backwards to use that same pattern backwards to make my line longer. Over 3 this way, down 2. Over 1, 2, 3, down 2. And we said it was a dotted line. So let me just put a lot of dots here. So ignoring our red graph, we now could look at our blue line, and we need to determine whether the answers are on one side of the blue line or on the other side of the blue line. And again, we're going to check the point 0, 0. Hopefully it's clear that 0, 0 is below the blue dotted line. So let's check the point 0, 0 down here. Okay. Let's plug in 0 for x, 0 for y. And you could do that on the modified equation right here. Put a 0 for x and a 0 for y. Or you could do that on the original equation, whatever you want. I want to go for the original equation. All right. So if I put a 0 right here, it's going to say 3 times 0. That's still going to be 0. And then on this side over here, 2 times 0, 0 plus 3, it's going to be a 3. So you really have 0 is less than 3. What do you guys think of that one? That's also true, which means that this 0, 0 coordinate is a solution, which means that all the solutions are going to be below the blue dotted line. So where's our overlap? Our overlap is the middle piece, right? So it's from here to here. So I'm using a different colored pen to show the overlap piece and really shade it in. Now what does that really mean? That means that any coordinate inside this green area, any coordinate will actually be a solution to the inequality, the system of inequalities here. So if you actually picked a coordinate in here, it would work on both top and bottom. It would give you a true statement on both. Any other questions on this homework? Number 6. So obviously the top inequality is not ready to graph yet. It doesn't have y by itself. So let's get that y by itself. Let's subtract, or actually add 3 to both sides, plus 3 and plus 3. So my top equation is going to be y is less than negative 2/3 x plus 3. And let's graph that red inequality. Avelino, where does that cross at? That's right, it crosses at 3. Crosses at 3. What do I do from that point, Avelino? You go 2 down. 2 down, 1, 2. And then 3. 1, 2, 3 to the right. Okay. So we end up right here. And last question, is this a solid line or a dotted line? Dotted. So I either shade in this side down here or this side up here, right? It depends where my answers are at. After all, the shade represents all the answers. So if I test the point 0, 0, well, that'll give me a 0 on the y and a 0 on the x, which will just end up being 3. Because if I plug in a 0 right here, it's going to make this whole thing 0, and 0 plus 3 is just 3. So what do we think of this? 0 is less than 3. True or false? False. True. 0 is less than 3. So this is an answer. So that means all of our answers are down here. So we're going to shade in. And let me not get too crazy on the shade, because then it gets ugly. Let's go for the other inequality. The other one is I'm going to go in blue. And I need to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4 first and subtract 4 to get the y by itself. Let me rewrite it. It's going to say 6x minus 4 is greater than 2y. And for my final step, I want to divide everything by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. You're going to have y is less than, we have a 3x and a minus 2. Now, it is kind of backwards where we have the y on the right side instead of the left side. So let me write it the way I'm used to seeing it. And again, this one's going to be in blue. I want to put the y on this side and the 3x minus 2 on this side. Now again, keep in mind that on the red one right here, it's opening up to the binomial 3x minus 2. It's not opening up to the y. So when you rewrite it, it cannot open up to the y. It has to continue opening up to the 3x minus 2. So here's our new blue inequality ready to graph. And that one crosses the y-axis at negative 2. So you put a dot at negative 2. And from that point, you're going to go up 3 over 1. That's your slope right here. Up 3 over 1. So you're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. You end up right there. You could keep going up 3 over 1. And this is going to be a solid or dotted line? Dotted once again. So let's go dotted. Now we either shade in the left side of this blue line or the right side of this blue line. Let's test a point. As you can see, 0, 0, it's pretty close to the blue line, but it's obviously on the left side of it. So let's test the 0, 0 right there. And if we test 0 for x and 0 for y, it's going to say 0 is less than 3 times 0 minus 2. So that's really just saying 0 is less than, scratch that out, it's just negative 2. So is 0 less than negative 2? No, that's false. So that's not an answer. So as you can see, on the left side, your answers are not there. It have to be on the other side, the right side. So let's shade in the right side of this blue line. Now, where's our overlap piece? Let's do that with a different colored pen. It's this slice of the graph right there, that triangle looking thing. Make sense? Any other ones, or are we good? You sure? How about number 5? Sure, why not? We have a couple more minutes on this video. So x is greater than 1. How do you do that? How do you graph that? Is that going to be a vertical line or a horizontal line? Vertical. So all you do is, and by the way, I want to graph this top one in red. So all you do is go to the x-axis, go to the value of 1, and draw a vertical line right through it. So here's the x value of 1, and I want to draw a vertical line. Is this going to be a solid line or a dotted line? Dotted. Okay. I'll make it go all the way down here. And now I need to shade in either the left side or the right side. Let's test the point 0, 0, right? Test the point 0, 0. So if you plug in a 0 for x and a 0 for y, it's going to say 0 for x is greater than, there is no y, so you don't have to worry about it. It just says 0 is greater than 1. What do you think? False. So do I shade in the left side or the right side? The right side. Okay, not only that, guys, it's pretty obvious. It's telling you x is greater than 1. Greater than's to the right, not to the left, right? Less than's to the left, greater than's to the right. Okay, now the bottom inequality, we still need to get that by itself, the y by itself. So we're going to divide by -2, divide by -2, divide by -2. Now, I wanted to go over this problem specifically because when you divide by a negative, what must you do to the inequality? Flip it, right? Switch the inequality sign. So you're going to end up with y is greater than or equal to, now there's an invisible 1 in front of the x, so that's really going to be a -½ x, and then plus 1, because a -2 divided by a -2 is a positive 1. So here's our new blue inequality that we're going to graph. That crosses at 1, and from that point I want to go down 1 over 2, put a dot right there, and this one is going to be solid, correct? Okay, and we're going to continue with the slope pattern of down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2 to extend it, and I could go backwards over 2, up 1, over 2, up 1, over 2, up 1 to extend it the other way also to make the line as long as I want. So this one is solid. And now I either need to shade in the bottom of this blue line or the top of this blue line. Let's pick the point 0, 0, which is clearly below. So if 0, 0 works, I'm going to shade in the bottom. If 0, 0 doesn't work, I'm going to shade in the top. So going back and plugging in 0 for y and 0 for x, this is what I'll end up with, right? If I plug in a 0 right here for y and a 0 for x, it's going to make this whole thing 0. So I'm going to end up with 0 is greater than or equal to 1. That's what I wrote right here. 0 is greater than or equal to 1. True or false? False. So we shade in the bottom or the top? The top. Now remember, what's important is the overlap piece. So that's this piece right here. Cool? All right.